Good evening, my dear friends. I'm delighted to see you all again. Tonight I want to talk about something that might seem simple, but it holds a profound secret. I was looking at a flower the other day, a little daisy in a field, and I thought to myself, does this flower struggle to bloom? Number. It rests in its nature, and so it blooms. Tonight, we'll talk about the Sabbath. Not a day on a calendar, but a state of rest in your imagining. We've explored imagination as the creative power, the law of assumption, the state of consciousness you dwell in, and the art of feeling. But there's a step beyond all this, a step that makes it all effortless. It's the Sabbath of rest. Now, I'm not talking about a religious ritual or a day of the week. I'm talking about a mental state. A state where you cease worrying, cease struggling, cease wondering how your desire will come to pass. It's the state where you rest in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, knowing it is done. The Bible speaks of the Sabbath as the day God rested after creation. In Genesis, it says, "On the seventh day, God rested from all his work." But what does this mean for you and me? It means that once you've imagined your desire, once you've assumed the feeling of it being fulfilled, your work is done. You don't need to keep laboring in your mind. You don't need to keep asking, how will it happen? When will it happen? No. You rest. You rest in the certainty that it is done. Let me tell you a story to illustrate this. I once knew a woman who desired a new home, a cozy little place where she could raise her children, with a garden and a view of the hills. But her circumstances seemed impossible. She had little money, and the homes she loved were far beyond her means. So she came to me, worried and anxious, and said, "Neville, I've been imagining this home, but I can't stop fretting about how it will happen." I told her, "That's your mistake. You're imagining the end, but you're not resting in it." I told her to imagine herself living in that home, to see herself tending the garden, to feel the warmth of the kitchen, to hear her children laughing in the yard. And then, once she felt it as real, to rest, to let go of the how, and simply know it was done. She took my advice. At first, it was hard for her to stop worrying. Her mind kept racing with questions. Where will the money come from? How will I find such a place? But I told her, every time those thoughts come, gently return to the feeling of living in your home. Don't argue with the doubts, just rest in the end. So she did. Night after night, she lived in that imaginal scene, and instead of worrying, she began to feel a deep peace. She rested in the feeling that it was hers, and then, one day, a friend mentioned a little house for sale, a house that matched her vision perfectly, at a price she could manage through an unexpected loan from a relative she hadn't even thought to ask. It all fell into place, not because she forced it, but because she rested. Do you see what I'm saying? The Sabbath is a state of mental rest. It's the moment you stop struggling and start trusting. You've done your part. You've imagined the end. You felt its reality. Now let go. The how is not your business. The how is God's business, and God is your own wonderful human imagination. Once you've planted the seed in your consciousness, you don't keep digging it up to see if it's growing. You water it with faith, with rest, and let it unfold. This idea of rest can feel strange at first, especially if you're used to fighting for everything in life. The world teaches us to strive, to push, to worry. But I say to you, that's not the way of creation. Creation is effortless when you align with the law. When you imagine the end and feel its reality, you've set the creative process in motion. Now rest. Trust that it's working, even when you can't see it. The Bible says, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That substance is the feeling of reality you give your desire. That evidence is your rest in knowing it's done. Let me give you another example. A young man once came to me who wanted to be an actor. He had talent, but no opportunities, no connections, no auditions, nothing. He said, "Neville, I imagine myself on stage, but I keep worrying about how I'll get there." I told him, "Stop worrying about the how. Imagine the end. See yourself taking a bow after a great performance. Hear the applause. Feel the spotlight on your face. Feel the joy of knowing you've made it. And then rest in that feeling." So he did. He stopped fretting about auditions and agents and started resting in the feeling of being a successful actor. Within a few months, he met a director by chance at a coffee shop, landed a small role, and that role led to bigger ones. Why? Because he rested in the end. Resting doesn't mean you sit on your hands and do nothing in the outer world. If action is required, you'll be prompted naturally. But your inner work is done. You don't need to keep imagining the same scene over and over as if it's not working. Once you've felt it as real, trust it. Rest in it. The world will move to bring it to pass. It has no choice. Your imagination sets the law in motion, and the law cannot fail. So how do you apply this Sabbath rest in your own life? It's simple, but it takes faith. Here's what I want you to do tonight. Choose a desire, something you've been longing for, something you've been imagining. Maybe it's a new job, a healed relationship, a trip you've dreamed of taking. Whatever it is, choose it now. Now imagine a scene that implies it's fulfilled. If it's a job, imagine shaking hands with your new employer, feeling the satisfaction of signing the contract. If it's a relationship, imagine sitting across from that person, feeling the love between you, hearing their kind words. If it's a trip, imagine yourself there, feeling the excitement, the freedom. Feel it as real, just as we've talked about before. Step into that scene with all your senses and let the feeling of reality wash over you. And then, here's the key. Rest. Let go of the how. When doubts creep in, don't fight them. Don't try to force the outcome. Just gently return to the feeling of the end. Remind yourself, it's done. I felt it as real, and that's enough. Rest in that knowing. Carry that peace with you through your day. Don't toil in your mind. Don't keep asking, when? How? Simply rest and trust that the seed you've planted is growing. This state of rest is a beautiful thing, my friends. It's a state of peace, a state of faith. It's the Sabbath of the mind, where you cease from your inner labor and let the law work its magic. The world might seem unchanged at first, but don't be fooled. Things are moving beneath the surface. Bridges are being built, connections are being made, opportunities are forming. All to bring your imaginal act into reality. Your job is to rest and trust. Go home tonight and enter your Sabbath. Imagine your desire fulfilled, feel its reality, and then rest in that feeling. When we meet again, I want to hear how the world has unfolded for you. I want to hear how your rest has borne fruit. Until then, my dear ones, cease from struggle, rest in the end, and let the world work its wonders. Good night.